Welcome to Soup to Nuts. I'm Brian Iarussi, along with my father, Oswald Iarussi. Tonight we're going to be cooking two very quick, simple, easy meals. The one I'm going to be cooking is called Nani Louisa's Italian tuna over linguine, and my father's going to be cooking a recipe that one of my brothers gave him, and he's going to try it tonight. So I'll let him start the show, and then we'll get over into mine.
It's always a pleasure to see you, Brian.
Thanks, Dad.
You realize it's been 6 months since we did our last show?
Yeah.
Where's the time go? What's happening? Why come we haven't done another show?
I don't know about you, but I've been working and getting married and having a baby. You've been playing around at the farm, so I don't know what
Brian,
you've been doing.
I've been so busy in the farm, you can't hardly believe it. With all those animals and all those grandchildren. Actually, it'd be a good time right now if we just took a segment, a 2-minute segment, and just show some of my friends and children on the farm to see how busy I am out there. You can show that right now if you want.
Welcome to Iarussi Family Farm. Today we are going to show you our new friend, the Indian runner ducks. Come with me.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, let's follow me.
Here.
Come on, Mickey. Come over here and get some.
Yeah.
Mickey.
Right here. I mean, Mickey, what's on the left? Here, Mickey.
What? And 3 little grandchildren right here.
This is me.
You're playing follow the leader now. Okay, you got one. Okay, gentle. Very gentle. Yeah. Show the camera. Show mommy. Show mommy.
Show mommy.
Look at him.
This is me.
Yeah, he's got one. Oh, put him down, Rich.
Really.
Put him down. All right, put him down.
He quacks a little time. He just cheats now.
You wet? All right, put him down.
He's gonna quack when he grows
This
big.
is part of the family. We got addition to the new family farm. We enjoy it. I'm sure the children do too. Hey. They don't like the water yet. They will eventually. As soon as they get the oil on their body. They don't have the oil on their body yet. Gentle. Not too hot. There they are. Yeah. Put them down the tub, she says, Richie. Gentle. Gentle. Go ahead, Rich. Hold them.
Oh.
Oh.
So you want to hold him?
He's got his own.
I want to hold him.
He has his own. There, look at him. There.
I want to.
Arrivederci.
Oh, here's the
He's Ozzie. Turn silent. Say ciao.
Say,
Ciao.
here we are. Back again.
Ciao.
We're going to have 2 recipes tonight. One is a very simple one. You know, one of the advantages of having a large family is that you invite out a lot to have dinner with them, which I enjoy because you're sharing time with your loved ones, with your grandchildren, and they cook something special usually for their parents. Just recently, my number 6 son Robert, who also loves to cook, cooked up a recipe that I will call Roberto and Farfalla. The ingredients are very simple, very quick to make. 1 Spanish onion, sliced. 2 red peppers, sliced. And 1 broccoli florets, sliced up. I'm just going to show you how to take the end pieces off, because what you have here is a very fine, coarse, very tough. All you do is cut that off. and you leave that one there on the floor because somebody will pick it up. And you cut these up, and you soak them in water to get some of the, you make them clean, which I've done already. Once that's done, I want to just show you how I cut a pepper. Usually people cut the peppers in half, and usually the ends curl up. We like to be a little more creative. Just cut the ends off, like this. And these little 3 pieces will break right off. You can leave them like that if you want. And these will just break off. And this just comes apart here. And all you have to do then is cut them. And what they do, you have nice straight pieces rather than curly up. I think it looks much better myself. Once that's done, you're ready to start cooking. So all I do is...
Before you do that, I'm going to interrupt you. Before he starts to actually cook his meal there, I want to...
Roberto Fafla.
Yeah. I want to jump in on mine. It's going to be the Pastine Italian tuna that's packed in oil. You're not going to use regular tuna. It's the Italian tuna. It's what my grandmother used way back when she first came over. She didn't know what mayonnaise was, and always used the tuna in oil, which I've been accustomed to, and it's got a different taste, but it tastes really good. So what I did earlier, prior to the show, I cut up some onions really thin, and you start sauteing them in oil, and then you add about a tablespoon of butter, and you want to get those caramelized. You want to cook them slow, medium heat, till they caramelize and they get brown, which they are almost now at that time. So I just wanted to get my meal started before he started. And what I'm going to do is boil some linguine, which is going to go over the top of the tuna, and the onions will cover that. So I'm good right now. The onions are going to get a little bit brown. You want them to caramelize. And I'm going to add the linguine to the pot right now to boil. And after we take our break, I'll show you how we incorporate the tuna. We just add the tuna right in at the last minute when the onions are done to get it warm, because it's already cooked. And then we pour it over linguine, add some cheese, and we're off. So I'm going to add the linguine. While I do that, he's going to start his Roberto dish there. Oh, one more thing. On the way here tonight, I knew my father would tell some stories, but in the back of my head I was saying to myself, I hope he doesn't talk too much about the farm. Whenever I saw him get out of his car, he was wearing what he was wearing. I knew I was in for a long night. Then he came armed with that video, so hopefully he's going to tell some stories about good old Nani as well, because that's, I like to hear the stories because I haven't heard them all either, so.
Brian, before I left the farm to come here, preparing this meal, your mother says, be kind to Brian. How can I be kind if you keep giving me those digs all the time?
I got to catch up for the digs that you gave me in the past.
A little oil in the pan. Just cover the bottom. A little more. Oil is good for you. And all you do is add. Enough for you, Brian. Add the 3 ingredients. Well, first we add the onions and the peppers first. That's on high. And we don't have anything fancy. I just put a little, you have to have salt when you cook. Without salt, there's no flavor. A little of this black pepper here. That goes back in, that goes back in, that goes back in. Take it off and we'll burn it. And you stir this around until she starts to, she'll cook about 4 or 5 minutes. Brian said, I used to hear a story about my mother. So do I. She was my teacher. She was my mother, my friend. She taught me oh so much. She taught me how to cook. And you know, if you have 12 children, which I have, I'm proud to say, you have to know how to cook because, you know, I watch people shopping today in the supermarkets, and I'm sure they don't have 12 children. Perhaps they have maybe 1, 2, probably, maybe 3. But I watch the wagons when they go shopping, and I say to myself, it's just too bad that they just don't know how to really spend some time and cook, because you can cook economical meals. You have to use a little imagination, a little creativity, which my mother always did. So she always told me that after I was married, because she started me off at 13 teaching me, 7 teaching me. When I was married, she says, you know, in this country, anybody can cook. I said, what do you mean? She said, if they can read, they can cook today, because there's so many books out, cooking books, so many TV shows, soup to nuts. There's so many magazines. If you can read and cook. I bought a beautiful platter here. It was given to me by one of my children. It's a recipe. La spaghettata. I can understand it, and I've tried it. Delicious. I can read, I can cook.
During that one break, I'm going to jump in. Again, like I always say, if you're cooking a pasta dish with oil, you can add oil to your water, which I'm going to do so it doesn't stick and it coats it. Don't ever add oil if you're cooking with red sauce. It repels the sauce. So only oil-based pasta dishes, add your oil to your water. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Brian, your mother says to be nice to you, but I don't know how I can be nice to you. You're always interrupting me. Now comes the last part of this Roberto Farfalla, which is taking these florets, broccoli florets. Don't worry about a little water in there because it's going to steam anyway. Incorporate it into the peppers and onion. And we're almost there. I'm going to have about 10 minutes to tell a story tonight, which I like to do anyway. This is delicious. Now, creativity. What else could I add to this if I was doing this after? Well, I'm doing this for Robert's recipe. If I was doing this, I would be creative. I would add maybe some carrots for sweetness. You could add all the different types of meats, either pork, chicken, sausage, depending what you like. Again, creativity. I'm going to turn this down. And I'm going to steam this for a while, because the broccoli gets some water in there and you get some oil. I'm going to steam that for maybe 10 minutes or so. That's done. My farfalla has been pre-cooked at home because Brian has taken over the one cooking pan we have here for his linguine. And if I was to cook my farfalla after Brian cooks the linguine, we'd be here till 9 o'clock. And you know, being Italian, we can't wait. When the food is cooked, we want to sit down at the table, share, enjoy, and enjoy our food. So that's cooking. I'll stir it around every so often. I told you my mother taught me many lessons. She used to tell us stories growing up. Each story was a lesson. When I was 5 or 6 years old, she taught me another lesson. We were very poor. We were below the poor level, poverty level. Each month you go down to Framingham, and I still remember the name of the woman who was in charge. I won't give her a real name. I just call her Mrs. Kruger, just so I won't, she might be still alive. So we go down every Monday, and she'd get her money, $15 a month. 3 children and a sickly husband. So the $15 would be below the poverty level. Each month she'd go down, she'd ask for more money because she couldn't bring up the family property. She asked for $3. $18 would have been probably just being poor rather than below the poor level. So each time she went down, Mr. Kruger would refuse her. So being in a community where those days the families always stuck together, they know the situation we had, but word got around that a woman with the same family makeup was getting $17 a month. That's all my mother had to know. She knew she was right, and she went down that next day. She took me with her. I was 5 or 6 years old. I don't think my feet touched the pavement a dozen times all the way down. When she got to the office, she said to Mrs. Kruger, "Mrs. Kruger, you big a crook." I have to use that, just the way she spoke. She didn't speak, she spoke broken English. "You big a crook. You take the money away from my family and you give it to somebody else. We suffer." Now, Mr. Iarussi, I'm not doing that. You big a crook. I know you do that. So the policeman came over and he said, "Mr. Iarussi, why don't you go home?" He says, "and maybe they'll do something about him." So back she went the next day, and I'm down with her again, 10, 12 steps down. Same thing, "Mr. Kruger, you big a crook. You steal the money from me and you give it to the other people. I know for sure you do that. You big a crook, Mr. Kruger." That went on for about a week. Finally, the last day, Mr. Kruger didn't like it. She said, "Look, if you don't stop threatening me and yelling at me, I'll have you and your son arrested." My mother says, "That's good. At least we'll have a good meal tonight in the police station." So the policeman said, "Why don't you go?" He was an Italian policeman, by the way. I still know his name. We went home, and then, this is off, Brian. We lost 5 minutes because I turned the button the wrong way. But we'll catch up. We can always take a break and come back. And I can't think of the word that describes if you try and try and try again. Does anybody know what that word is, Brian? If you keep trying and trying and trying. That's what the basketball player that Jordan did when he told me he couldn't be a basketball player. He says he kept trying and trying and trying again. So he finally made it. Well, the last day she went down, she got her money. The policeman said, "Why don't you go home? Don't threaten Mr. Kruger again." She opened the envelope, and inside it was $22. From that time on, we came out of from the poor into almost the affluent. I remember coming home that night, she was saying to my father, "Tonight we're having bistecca," which is steak. Then we celebrated. I can't think of that. Before the program is over, I'll think of the word where if you try and try and try again, you'll perfect yourself. My little granddaughter called up Mother's Day evening, "Grampy, I'm excited." She says, "I can ride my two-wheel bike now without my training wheels on because I tried and tried." I'll think of the word before the program is over.
You want to tell them how you're going to cook the garlic for that?
We got garlic. Not right now, though.
All right.
I missed about 5 minutes. What's that word? I can't think of it. I got a mental block.
All right, so going back to mine, my onions are just about there. They're getting a little caramelized with brown and the butter. You don't want to cook them too high. You want them on about medium just so they're moving. And the linguine is almost done. You want to show them the garlic before we go on to break, or you want to take the break now?
What we're going to do is, on this recipe here, we're going to take some olive oil. I'll put it in now. And we put just a little butter. A little butter when this heats up. And Brian's been cutting for the last 5 minutes something he enjoys using quite often in his recipes. Tonight, Brian usually uses about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic in his recipes, but tonight we're using a whole bulb. When this garlic is incorporated into the oil and butter, it's cooked for about 10 minutes, very slow. What it does is it extracts the flavor from the garlic. Also, those larger pieces of garlic become very tender, very delicious. And that will be used with my Roberto and farfalle.
So you want to add those in now?
Those at the end when we're ready to serve.
What, no, the garlic.
We can put it in now, yeah.
Just put that tuna fish over there so she can get a shot of what it looks like in the can over here.
There.
She's going to shoot it right there.
Uh,
So I'll,
and those small pieces, oh, that's all right. They'll cook down anyway.
that's the type of tuna you want there. It's the pastine. Pastine packed in oil. It's light tuna. Very good. If you go, some Italian markets make a tuna fish sub with that. I know Waverly Market does.
Let these cut these small. I mean, you can choke. Remember you told me about not having anything too large when you eat because you had a tendency you could choke on it. Right?
Yeah. Back to my point, Waverly Market, where we get a lot of our meats, and TJ's Market. He makes an excellent Italian tuna fish sub if you ever want to try it. It's got a different taste. He can put a little piece of mayonnaise, a little mayonnaise on the bread for you.
This is doing nicely. Is your linguine boiling there, Brian?
Yeah.
Very healthy food for you, broccoli and the, well, again, most of my shows that I do, I mean, I didn't plan it this way tonight, but if you look at the shows we've done in the past, there's something about the color combination. My favorite colors, naturally, being Italian, are red, white, and green. And for some reason, we have red, white, and green, the color of my Italian flag. It's going to take a while, maybe another 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, to steam.
Why don't we take a break? Take a
And
break.
yeah, take a break.
We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, I'm going to show you how to put my pasta dish together. It's very simple. It takes a total of about 10 minutes to cook, maybe 20 by the time you get the onions simmered. Tonight, we started cooking, so it's only about 10 minutes. And then here, my father will show you how his is going to be finished. And
Ciao!
Everybody say ciao.
Get it on?
Ciao!
Ciao. Arrivederci. Arrivederci. Richie. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Okay, Teddy.
hi, welcome back. Right now, what I'm going to do is incorporate the tuna fish into the onions. First, I want to show this camera over here what the onions are a little bit brown caramelized. That's about the consistency you want it. You may have to add a little oil as it might evaporate. So I'm going to add the tuna, oil and all, inside the can. And you probably want to use a spoon because you don't really want to break the tuna up that fine. You want to leave it in good chunks. There's one can. Another.
Move around a little bit, Brian.
Move it around a little bit.
It'll break on when you put the linguine in.
It'll break up mostly when I add the linguine.
All right. Is this on high now?
Yep, so what I'm
Okay.
going to do now, this on high? You mean this
Yeah.
linguine?
Yeah.
So you want to turn the heat right down on the onions because it's going to be hot enough. So I'm going to strain this linguine.
Tip it towards you, so.
You want to strain it good because you don't want it too watery. You want it takes away the oil. So that strain as good as it's going to get. I'm going to add this to my nice bowl. Get out as much as you can. Back in because he's going to put his farfalle in.
You put it right on top of the linguine.
Now I'm going to add my onions,
Cheese, garnish.
tuna, right on top. And be very careful when you're moving this around not to break too much tuna up. I'll use it like that. can always add more oil if you have to, if there wasn't enough, but there should be plenty. A little cheese, fresh Romano with a nice wheel grater. If you don't have one of these, you should try one. It's pretty neat. Takes a lot of the pain out of it. Cheese, a little bit of fresh parsley, and as my grandmother said, not the king, the pope, or the president is going to eat better than all of us here tonight. And with that, I'll let my father take his. I don't know if they got a shot of this, they can get it at the end.
In the same water that binds this strain is linguine, because the essence of time, I pre-cook some of my farfalle. So farfalle come to a boil. It only takes about 2-3 minutes to heat that up, and that's done. This is simple. You notice how this has been cooked nice now? The onions are cooked. The peppers are nice and cooked. And over here, this has been cooking for the last 10 minutes or so, and it's very, very, very soft, very soft. Delicious. Matt told me the word I was thinking about before. The word is perseverance. I had it when I came here, but because of all the pressure you have cooking and trying to get Brian straightened away and make sure he does a nice job, it just escaped my mind. But thank you, Matt. Perseverance. Mr. Kruger is a bigger crooker, but she finally came through for us. Now the camera get that? These vegetables are just about, they're done. See the garlic is just simmering, still simmering a little bit? They're done. I'll shut this off. And I'll shut this off. This boil? Is that on high?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It should be hot enough, right? Let's try one. There's a place in Framingham. Actually, when I came from Italy, I lived there for a period of time. It's called Framingham Baking Company. Wonderful people, been in the business since I remember. We have Framingham baking bread here, and they gave me some of this cheese here that I'll be using on the recipe. It's a cheese they use for their pizza. You people that haven't had their pizza, stop by, located on 135 across from a huge telephone building. The pizza is fantastic. The bread is out of this world. We have our Framingham baking bread here. I wouldn't go anywhere without that bread. That gives the added taste to all this delicious meal. If you want now, number 7, son, you can strain that in here, shut the burner off, and it's done. Strain it good. Down. Very good. Make sure it's good at an angle. Wow. Let's put some of this delicious garlic in here. Let's put some of that in there. Let's put that over there. And then, let's take some of this on. Cheese, Brian. And some of this Framingham Baker special cheese that will give it that extra taste. If you want to know what kind it is, go down and see them. I'm sure they'll tell you what kind it is. Here's our show.
That's the end of the show. Thank you for watching again, and we'll see you soon. And I'd like to say hi to one person who I know is watching, and you guys all know him. He's the athletic director here at the high school, Phil Baresi. I'd like to say hi to Coach, and go Ashland. Take care.
Arrivederci.